Hello. Okay, I'm live. Got my sound on. Excellent. Hello, hello. Welcome to Locs Talk Live. My name is Pammie. It's Pamela. I'm affectionately known to many as Pammie. I'm a loctician and loctologist. And what's the difference? Loctician, I start, style, and maintain locks. A lockologist, I continue to study them as they evolve because the lock community is an ever evolving community. And starting from its origins up to the present is what I stay focused on studying and understanding um, within the lock community. So that's, you know, lockologist is not really a title, it's just a person who is a loctician that goes the extra step in studying and understanding locks. I also am an organic natural hair care specialist, where I care for your hair within its natural state. I don't do anything major that's going to change the texture of your hair, such as chemical processing, high heat bleaching, and things like that. I do color, but usually with organic and natural coloring, and not so much with chemical coloring. Um, what else is there to introduce? I am the writer of the blog Locs Talk. I call it Locs Talk because I am a lock diva or a lock goddess. And I am the owner of Pammie Locs with Love, which is my business where I start, maintain, and take care of people's locks. I'm also a lock consultant, and I take care of natural hair, help people with their natural hair, with organic things, such as natural ingredients that help with scalp care and things like that. Okay. Um, Thank you for joining me for Locs Talk this week. Staying persistent, keyword persistent, with coming every Wednesday, 7 p.m. as promised on Locs Talk Live. Um, I'm here to answer any questions that you have. If you have them, please, when you come in, two things I would like for you to do is to hit that thumbs up so that I know that you're here. Also, say hi in the chat so I know who you are. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have for me, and I will do my best to answer it. If I don't have an answer for you today, I definitely will have an answer for you next week. Or tune in on a daily basis. I do post a small video short giving tips about locks on here on YouTube as well. Sometimes I'll put video shorts. Sometimes I will just put a demonstration video of my work and what I do. Um, Oftentimes, you will see more of my life clients on here than anybody else. My natural hair care clients, I'm a little bit more sensitive about protecting their privacy because I'm helping them to get their hair back in shape. So for a lot of them, I don't put them up on display for that reason. When they decide that it's okay, you will see more videos of my natural hair care clients. Um, I would like to start with a question that was asked me this weekend by a friend. I went to an event and she asked me about a time that she had gotten braids in her hair. She had her hair braided, and she said when she took them out, her hair in the center, which is her soft spot, felt very tender. Um, and I'm going to explain two things probably caused that. One definitely was probably the weight of the hair that was used to put her braids in, which she attested to was kind of on the heavy side. So because of the excess weight, that causes a tension and pulling. And when you get that tension and pulling, it takes very little for you to get that tension and pulling effect where it starts to really hurt, or bother or irritate your scalp. So it doesn't take a lot. Oftentimes, I would explain to a client that tension can is the number one leading cause to traction alopecia. And traction alopecia is the only form of alopecia that's actually caused I don't want to say the word negligence because it's not really always negligence. Sometimes the client just isn't aware of how severe um, that small nudge and tugging for a long period of time can cause for their scalp. But getting back to her, the weight of her hair could have caused detention and pulling on her hair. And because of that, um, that's what caused the aching. Also, if the braids were in too tight, if they were too tight, that also causes it. In our community, it's often misconstrued that it's supposed to be tight. It's supposed to hurt. No, it is not. It's not supposed to hurt. So please, if it's bothering you, if it's hurting you, be be your own advocate. Speak up. Now, that's the answer to the question that I answered to the young lady who asked me about the pulling that caused the aching in the center of her head. So I told her in the future, if it is tight, make sure that, well, she's not the kind of person that's going to just sit back and let nothing happen to her. Trust me, she will tell you about yourself if you're doing something out of pocket. But I also told her make sure that you choose a hair that's very lightweight because they've made a lot of new synthetic hairs that's really light in weight to help keep that excess tension from the weight pulling onto your hair. So be sure that you are not dealing with hair that's too heavy because you got to remember your scalp is used to the weight of your hair. But when you add to it, it can shock your scalp and cause stress on your hair follicles. And that's the last thing you want. Okay. So that's the answer to that. Now, moving on. What was I getting ready to get into? Relationship with your stylist. I don't care if it's your weave lady, your wig lady, your braid lady, your lock lady, or just your regular beautician that you go to. Open communication is extremely important. Now, oftentimes people make the mistake of misconstruing what I mean by open communication. Like, for example, going back to what I said, if it's too tight, that don't mean you have to rude and cussing people out. The last thing you want to do is be rude to the person that has their hands in your hair. You can have an open communication. Now, if they're insisting that they're not doing, they're being condescending and they're trying to downplay what you're trying to say to them, that's when it's time to tell them to get their hands out of your hair, okay, and get up and leave. You don't sit there through the whole process, pay them, leave, and then go sit in your car and proceed to go live on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or wherever to talk about your horrible experience that you just sat through and paid for. That doesn't make you look very smart, number one. And you cannot back that up by saying, well, I'm not confrontational. Yeah, you are. Because if you can go on social media and do that, that's more confrontational than, like, to me, just keeping it real with the person right there on the spot. So be very careful with how you communicate. And that's not just as a client, but I'm speaking to stylists too. Don't talk to your clients like they dumb, because you're the expert. They don't know what they're talking about. Open communication is very important. I've had people say things to me and request something that I knew was going to cause significant damage. But you have to explain and educate rather than treat them as if, oh, you're so gullible and don't do that. Open communication is very important. And like I said, as a loctician, the loc community is a very evolving community. There are a lot of new things being introduced that are very effective. Other things that I don't care so much for, but I'm not going to sit in judgment of it. If that's what works for that client and that loctician and what they're doing together, that's fine. I just don't feel comfortable with it. And yeah, because when anything that I don't feel comfortable doing is usually something that I know can has a high potential for causing long-term damage, affecting a person's hair. And that's something I want to prevent as much as I possibly can. Um, I don't have any other questions that was presented to me leading up to today, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to use my noggin and think about other pieces of information that could be very important for you in your future when it comes to taking care of your hair. Okay, I saw a video maybe 2 days ago. It was a young girl. She had to be anywhere between 8 and 10 years old. I would say more closer to 8, maybe even younger. Beautiful head of hair. Her mom took her to get her hair braided, and the stylist that had done her hair the last time wasn't available, so she opted to go with another stylist. And that's fine, but you have to be very careful to understand that all stylists are not the same. They don't have the same skill set. They don't have the same manners. They don't have the same connection with you or your child if it's your child that you're taking to get their hair done. And same vice versa. So be very careful and selective. This is why with my clientele, every new person that comes to me are required to do a consultation before I take them on as a client. It's very important. Now, the purpose of a consultation is generally for the client to get to know me and what I represent, but more importantly, for me to get to know them and not just them, like their personality and what they do. While those are important factors because these are people that I will be taking care of their hair on a long-term basis, those are things we can learn about each other along the way. We generally do within the consultation because it becomes comfortable that quickly. However, my consultations stem around understanding how they cared for the hair prior to them coming to visit me, what kind of products they've used, giving me a walkthrough of how they moisturize their hair, how often they wash their hair, with what. I think all of those different factors, that they're very important. It gives me an incentive of how to prepare for the client. Finding out they have scalp issues that they might have concerns about, allergies, because again, I use a lot of natural ingredients. So some of those things can be natural oils that can contain agents that a person can be allergic to. So I have to make sure that they don't have allergies for things like that. It's very important to make sure. Now, getting back to what I was talking about, I watched the whole video all the way through, and it was clear while the person had some education as a cosmetologist, braiding wasn't their best skill set. And the job that was done on the child's hair was of a disservice to her. It just wasn't pleasant. I did not comment on it because I'm not one of those people that want to become a troll about it, because this was not the beautician that posted it, but the parent of the child. So I was not going to be that, oh my God, why would you take her to it was plenty of people in the comments that was doing that. I don't understand why people do that. But if I do look at stuff like that as a learning moment for myself as far as customer service goes. So there are things that I absolutely can do, and my skill set is really high in the area. But if it's something that I don't practice on a regular basis, that I know will take longer for me to do because I don't do it all the time, I make sure I'm clear and honest with the client. That's not my specialty. I don't do it all the time. But if you have the time, I'm be more than happy to oblige. I've even told them if it doesn't turn out or look the way you want it to look, we can take it out. I won't charge you for the service, and stuff like that. Have I had that happen? No, but I want to make sure that there's a clear and open communication in them understanding this is not a normal thing that I'm asked to do. So, we experimenting together. Generally, well, when it comes down to that, the experimenting is usually with a family member or somebody be like, let's try it. Let's see how it goes. But for the most part, all of the services that I have listed on my website are things that I am highly skilled at doing. I'm highly skilled in other areas too, but again, those are things that can cause potential harm to your hair, and that's not the platform that I represent. So it's very important for my clients to understand that. I took a lot of time and put into making sure that I have informed my clients of as much as possible so they understand where I'm coming from. Um, and I try to be as open and honest about everything that I'm doing. You can ask many of my clients, they will tell you. Um, they come to me all the time, long term service. They come to me all the time. And I'm constantly saying, okay, well, we're going to use this shampoo today, and I'm going to use this conditioner, and I'm going to use this on your hair, and then I'm going to spray. I'm going to use that scent, and I'm going to use this. I'm always telling them what I'm putting in their hair, even though they see everything that I have in my supply. They're like, you don't have to keep telling me. I'm like, yes, I do. It's just I put it to habit to make sure. I don't like to have anybody in the dark, not knowing what I'm putting in their hair and why I'm putting it in their hair and what it's going to be used for. Now, there are certain oil blends that I do use when I'm treating seborrheic dermatitis and dandruff that I don't share. I was just telling this is a special oil blend that I created out of natural essential oils to help kill the organism that causes dandruff and or seborrheic dermatitis. And I leave it to them to just, okay, I trust you. Let's try it and see how it works. I do a test area just to see how their skin reacts to the oil first. Um, and if it's not reacting to it, we continue with the treatment. And there we go. And usually in one treatment is all cleared up, which I'm happy about. Um, so yeah, that's how that goes. Um, I don't have a whole lot of questions that I had received this week. So I'm again thinking, and no one has come in here. I think I'm going to have to go and remind people on here. Put it in my chat because I did share it earlier. So we're just going to do that real quick. All right. Okay, so I have that. Um, Again, nobody's here yet, but I'm here, and that's the important thing. Again, I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to keep showing up. So this right here is my newest queen. I went to a painting sip this past Saturday, and that's her. I haven't named her yet, but yeah, she made it on my wall of queens, and I'm very pleased with her. She's beautiful, isn't she? Black Black History Edition. Um, Let me think. Okay, so this month, yes, Nene, that's my cat. This month, there's been some changes that were made um, to the company that I order my products from. Same owner, same formula for everything. Name change, rebranded, but same stuff. I just restocked because the transition period, it takes time. So I want to make sure I still got my stuff because I don't want my clients to miss out on making sure that they keep their shelves up here. So I will answer this question. What my favorite locks, um, favorite lock product. My favorite lock product as of today is a product called Made for Locks. Made for Locks is formulated for locks. Now, a lot of times people make the mistake of using natural hair care products on their locks, and that is a mistake because the density of natural hair care products is so much more heavy than lock products. You don't want to use products that are very heavy, that contains silicone or wax or honey and things like that that can burrow down into your lock and get stuck in there. Silicone can just sit up on top of your hair and create this shield. So important things like moisture won't be able to cross that barrier and really moisturize and hydrate your hair. So you want to be very careful with stuff like that. And unfortunately, not all, but there are a lot of natural hair care products out there that are not properly formulated for natural hair. And it contains a lot of dangerous preservatives and chemical compounds and, things like sulfate in the shampoo, which can strip your hair. Now, don't get me wrong, sulfate, I'm not 100% against, but it's not something that I recommend anyone use on a regular basis. But to have one bottle just on reserve, just in case, which I do, um, because oftentimes I will have a client that comes that has so much oil built up in their hair. And sulfate shampoo is really good for breaking down and cleansing the oil out of the hair. And I'll do it for one wash and then switch back over to better sulfate free shampoo. But that initial wash, it'll really break it and get it out of there. Castile shampoo is really good for that too. It does a deep clean. And so I like Castile shampoo. I like that now they are making it with different scents added to it. They are diluting it for you so you don't have to do the dilution because oftentimes people are doing it incorrectly and still using it way too high in concentration. So I like that they have the company that created that sells Castile shampoo has started to dilute it for you to make sure of that. Again, my favorite lock brand is called Made for Locks. It's brand new as far as the brand, but the product itself is not brand new. We're almost 3 years old. It's just a transition and rebranding. Okay. Um, I will in the future talk more about it. We're still like in a transition state, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But Made for Locs is definitely my favorite brand of lock products to use. Now, to answer the question, what's your favorite natural hair care products? Um, well, currently I have two natural hair care products that I like to use, and I stay constantly in communication with the owners of both brands, Talia brand and Mael. Mael is very common for my clients. I have a couple of people that really like Talia. I like Talia because it works for me. I love Talia brand, and she did start adding some items that are made specifically for locks as well. But generally, for my clients that I do protective styles with like braids and twist outs and braids, twist outs, crochet braids, I use. She has this braiding gel that I love to use. That is very natural, lightweight. It doesn't build up. Love it. Um, and then with my favorite when I'm doing comb coils, not to lock a person's hair, but just comb coils as a style. She has this custard, this coil custard that's really nice, and again doesn't build up, made of natural ingredients and things like. And so I do use a lot of different, not a lot, but I use brands that accommodate my clients in a way where their hair is healthy as possible. I continuously research different hair care products and things like that, and making sure that the formulas don't change, looking for differences in how hair reacts. Because sometimes you do have to change products because your hair becomes immune to it in sort of a way where it doesn't affect your hair the way it did when you initially started using it. Fortunately for me, the lock products that I use have only gotten better over time. And man, if I could put it side by side so you can see what I'm talking about like as far as the difference in the length of my hair, for example, man, man, I mean, in the past 3 years, I think my hair has grown nearly a foot. I'm not BSing you. Seriously, my hair has grown so much in the past 3 years. Like what you see, like that's visible to you right here. This was the length of my locks literally 3 years ago in 2020. And now my hair is all the way down to my booty. Bootylicious. No, that's what I call it, bootylicious length. Um, but those are right now my three favorite. I also have finally found a vegan um, shampoo for me to really enhance my gray hair. So you right now it looks kind of ashy. It's a toner shampoo, but I wanted one that was sulfate free and vegan. I didn't want any we just talked about why I don't want to put sulfate in it. But I wanted one that's natural as possible. It's the purple shampoo, the purple pigment in it. It really makes the silver by gray stand out, and it tones down the brassiness that's left behind from the pigment that left my hair, as it's growing in. So I haven't used it yet, but I will use it before next week so you could see before and after. And I'm going to show you a before and after. I'm going to do a little video so people can see the difference once I use it. But I am so happy that I finally found, and I'm also in that video going to share with you the the toning shampoo that I did find for that. Okay. Um, but that'll be a separate video that I'm going to make. Um, so I finally found that the vegan toner shampoo that I'm going to use on my gray hair to really make my gray pop, because I'm letting my gray hair grow in. As you see, it's growing down the length of my lock, all the way down the length of my lock. So it's like salt and pepper throughout my hair, but it's getting more white along the frame of my face. I also have a favorite brand of shampoo that contains tea tree oil. That's important for some of my clients that have some scalp issues that require a little extra to make sure that their scalp doesn't have excess flare-ups with dandruff or seborrheic dermatitis. I have medicated shampoo as well that I use. I have one that is specifically for my clients that have dandruff. I have one specifically for my clients that has seborrheic dermatitis, and I have one specifically for any client that I may have that has psoriasis, because that is even further. And these are over the counter ones, so it's not prescription strength. But again, now speaking of those things, seborrheic dermatitis, dandruff, psoriasis, just to name a few. I think the worst condition that I have come across, the two worst conditions that I've come across was alopecia areata and folliculitis. Alopecia areata, if you don't know what that is hair loss. There's different levels of it, but usually the one that I usually come across is it's not mild, but it's not the most extreme, where you're losing all of the hair all over your body. But alopecia areata, it's like patches of hair, like in circular motions, are literally falling out of your scalp. It's not breaking, it's literally falling, like the hair follicles cannot hold on to it and it's falling out. Oftentimes with alopecia areata, there with treatment, hair can grow back. It can't for everybody, but it can. However, before treatment begins on that, and again, my treatment is not medical, it is not chemical, it is organic, which means I use natural stuff to treat people with alopecia areata. But before treatment can begin, it is absolutely a requirement that you must go to a board certified dermatologist for diagnosis. And I must see that in writing from them, that that's what you have and what their treatment plan is, because I have to adhere to that. Okay. So that's important. That happens with alopecia areata, psoriasis. Seborrheic dermatitis is something that is not required a diagnosis from a dermatologist. That's something that you yourself will more than likely, be able to diagnose on your own. But psoriasis, alopecia, extreme forms of dandruff. Folliculitis is a bacterial staph infection of the hair follicles. It's very painful and definitely, absolutely requires a diagnosis and medication treatment. Also, fungal ringworms in the scalp also. And that is something I cannot treat in my chair because it is contagious. Okay. Folliculitis, not so much contagious, but also something I cannot treat while it's in a state of rupturing and things like that, because it takes a great deal to have to cleanse and sterilize, and certain things have to be thrown out and not used again on another client. So I am fortunate to not have had to help treat a client with folliculitis because of them taking care of their hair and not getting to that point. Folliculitis, that kind of staph bacteria, it's really easy to get. And again, it comes back down to making sure you don't over oil your hair, don't clog the pores, allowing bacteria to find a home and live in your hair follicles, which can lead to folliculitis. Wash your hair on a regular basis, and I don't mean every day. You don't have to wash your hair every day, but be careful. Don't scratch your scalp with your fingernails. Again, they are microscopic bacteria living under your fingernails that you can't see. That is the most common thing that leads to folliculitis, because you're scratching, you irritate, you open up, it gets in there, and next thing you know, you got some crap going on your head. There are clusters that you can get on your scalp also that can cause infections and things like this. There's a lot of things, and those things are caused again by bruising your scalp. So don't use your fingernails to scratch your scalp, especially when you're washing your hair, because water plus scratching really opens up the pores and let everything that you don't want in your scalp in your scalp. Don't irritate your scalp. Your scalp is like a peach. If you scratch a peach, you're going to bruise the peach. If you scratch your scalp, you're going to bruise your scalp. Right? So we don't want to do that. Use the ball tips of your fingers, and really learn. There's a lot of research videos and books on scalp reflexology where you learn how to massage your scalp in the right spots. Ways that you can scrub your scalp without using your fingernails. That can really stimulate your scalp and promote hair growth, because it gets that blood stimulation and flow into that area. So it's so many great things that you can learn how to do on your own. And this does not mean I'm not teaching or educating you so you don't ever have to go to a beautician again, because you do want to go sit down and get pampered and not have to do anything. I know. I wish that I could, but in my head, I know that I will not make a pleasant client, because I will constantly have my mind thinking about, okay, why aren't, and I don't want to sit there and direct somebody on how to do my hair. So rather than be that person, I just take care of my own hair. And I love doing my hair, but there are times, I wish I had somebody else to do it for me. I think the most I would want for somebody else to do for me is to wash my hair for me instead of me doing it myself, because I get so envious of my clients and seeing how relaxed they are. They literally will fall asleep. If I'm not talking to them, they will go to sleep while I'm washing their hair. They get that relaxed. And I'm getting really good with reflexology and de-stressing them when I'm washing their hair and things like that. And I love that I can help them with that. That's why I love what I do. I just want people to feel better. Don't just come with your hair one way, leave them with it looking another. I want you to not only look different, I want you to feel better. That's what my goal is, right? So moving forward, I'm looking over there because I just want to make sure I covered everything with the products that I was talking about. I'm glad I spotted that, because I'm looking at my supply table over there. This is a great tip. Write this. You don't even need to write it down. So if you have kids, right? And I'm sure a lot of you do, but if you don't, you got nieces and nephews, you got friends that got kids. There's been kids in your life, right? If you don't know about this, A&D ointment. So if you do have like irritation, like I have somebody that just constantly rubs one spot that seems to itch them a lot, and they rub that spot all the time to the point where that spot became very raw, like the outer layers of the skin on the scalp is bright in color and things like that, right? So part of how you can heal that is A&D ointment. Just a little bit. Now, you want it to create a protective barrier so that no bacteria or stuff from the air is going to get on it, and it'll help it heal. Oh, welcome. Somebody came in. Hi. Say hello in the chat so I can know who you are. And please hit that thumbs up. as you come in. So A&D ointment, yes, A&D ointment is really good for treating irritated areas on your scalp. Also, one of the reasons that people don't know is when you have like a really inflamed, itchy scalp, if you are using a growth agent on your hair, right? Be very careful not to use it too much, because if you overstimulate your scalp for growth, it could be misconstrued that your scalp is itching, but actually your scalp is very hyper right now. And because of that, it could first start out feeling itchy. But if it becomes too activated, it could almost feel like your scalp is on fire. So you got to be careful with how often you use that on your hair. It's nothing wrong with using growth serums and oils and agents and stuff like that. But if that's, for example, if you're using it every day, cut it back to using it every other day, and make sure you use smaller quantities of it. But also, if you do have extra itching, now I've had tips about itching often. Aloe vera gel is one, right? Great for soothing your scalp when it's itching. Peppermint oil is really good, but it has to be added to something, because you don't want to put peppermint oil directly on your scalp because it will really singe your scalp. Again, essential oils are meant to be diluted. It should never be used directly on your skin. Make sure you have a carrier base oil to put it in, and then put it on your hair. You can mix it in with your conditioning oil. I've seen people put drops of peppermint essential oil in their shampoo, so when they're washing their hair, it really stimulates and gets the scalp to calm down. Another thing that's great for itchiness. Sometimes it's stress that's causing your scalp to itch, and people forget that. Okay, because I don't want people to always think that, oh, it's because of something that they put in their hair. Sometimes if you are stressed, your scalp is going to react, right? Or if you have allergies and stuff like that. Cortisone is a good agent to put a very small amount of it if you have an itchy area that you really need to calm it down immediately. Cortisone cream will do that, and it'll help de-stress that area so it's not so crazy and itchy, right? So it's very important that making sure when you feel itchiness, again, don't use your fingernails, because you're only going to make the situation worse. You don't want to make the situation worse, right? My favorite, again, is aloe gel. It's really cooling. Witch hazel is another agent that's good, but again, I don't want anybody to get too tied up with using that too much and too often, because it can absolutely dry your hair out. So you want to mix it in with something that's just going to help, but at the same time, you don't want to overdo it, So if there are no other questions, and we're about 45 minutes, and I had one or two people that came in and leave again, and that's okay. I'm thinking. Rick, he can't hear me. That was my son that came in. So, you have any questions that you think I should answer on here?
No.
Okay. All right. So, in the future, you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok, you can under the same name, Pammie Locs with Love. Feel free to drop me a message if you have any questions that you would like me to include on next week's Locs Talk Live. I would definitely read it and get information, and we'll talk about it. I do have another question that somebody did ask me. They said that they asked me, they said, do I need to have a steam cap to steam my hair? And the answer to that question is no. You do not need to have a steam cap. It's a great thing to have. I actually want to invest in one myself, um, because I just want to be able to sit on my couch and relax and steam my hair, not in a styling chair and stuff like that. Because I do have one where you sit under in the styling chair. I also have like a small one that you can use to steam your face or just have next to you to steam. Just yeah. But you don't have to have any of those things to steam your hair. Good old fashioned shower. Now, most people that I know that's in my Loc community, in my tribe, they love to take them super hot showers. I don't know how they can do it because my skin's sensitive as hell. I'd be like, oh my God, this is hot. But if you don't cover your hair, you of course tie it up. You don't want to wet your hair, but the steam from the shower is fantastic. Even if you're not taking a shower, just turn the shower on and sit in the bathroom for like 5-10 minutes and let that steam do its thing, and your hair will go from all skinny and scraggly to nice and plump and full. Now this is we of course we're talking about like with locks and braids and stuff like that, because humidity will definitely go cause like massive swelling in the hair, right? So that's what steam is, humidity. So if you're not looking for massive swelling, you don't want to do steaming too much. But yeah, you do not have to have a steamer to steam your hair. The shower will do just fine. Um, Speaking of heat, again, oftentimes people don't realize it's not just the tools that you use like hot curlers and flat irons and hair dryers that can cause heat damage. When you are washing your hair, you do not want to use water that's too hot either. That can also cause heat damage. Not as bad as to the point as to like these tools that I just mentioned. Hello, welcome to Locs Talk Live. Say hi in the chat, hit the like button. Thank you for coming. Um, Now, a couple of years back, one of my clients was asking for a friend about heat. Can it be there was heat damage, significant heat damage done to this person's hair. And he wanted to know, he asked her to ask me if it's something that can be salvaged. And no, especially once I found out what the person used to dry their hair. They was trying to do an express drying of their hair. And the tool that was used to do that was a heat gun. Now, if you don't know what a heat gun is, if you know any contractors or carpenters or, people who work with painting and plastering and stuff like that, or flooring, they use heat guns. Heat guns is a high heat tool that is used to make tiles softer so it's easier for them to be peeled up off the floor. Yeah. The person used the heat gun on their hair. And they had locks. They was trying to make them dry fast. And unfortunately, they fried their hair and the hair was charred and slowly but surely falling and breaking. And it's unfortunate because with heat damage, it's not reversible. The only cure is to remove it. Once the hair is charred, burned, or the keratin is dead, gotta cut it off. And you want to do it sooner rather than later, because as long as that dead hair is there, it's continuing to die. I don't know if you remember from last week when I was talking about if you have plants and you see that browning on the edge of the leaf, if you don't cut that off, it can affect the whole plant and everything dies. So stop trying to hold on to length, salvaging length, when you know you clearly have dead or damaged hair. Cut it off. It'll grow back. But yeah, the heat gun, I was so saddened to hear this. And welcome, Janae. Thank you for joining tonight. If you have a question that you'd like me to answer, please feel free to ask your question here in the chat, and I'll answer to the best of my ability. But yeah, heat damage is very dangerous, so be very careful. And again, another heat agent that can be damaging to your hair is using water that's entirely too hot when you're washing your hair. You don't want to wash your hair in water that's too hot. I've seen videos where like boiling water was used to clean hair, and then the hair wound up drying out so badly that it again became charred and eventually over time. And it's not something that happens immediately. That's the thing that people don't get. Like, even if you have third-degree burns, you're not going to lose flesh immediately. You'll see what happens on the surface, but what's beneath that has to get removed. It dies and falls away eventually, but it still dies and falls away. If you don't cut it off, the healthy part is not going to heal, or stay healed. So be very careful about using high intensive heat. Like, I have a hair dryer, a hooded dryer for clients. I also have a hand dryer, but I never put it on super hot or high. You're not going to see smoke coming out of it when I'm drying somebody's hair. So it's very important not to be too intense with heat when you're using it. And if you are going to use heat on your hair, make sure you use a protecting product that's going to protect your hair as much as possible in the process. What else is there to talk about? I think I'm down to the last 10 minutes. I'm thinking of more questions that I was asked in the past. This was asked to me this week also. Is there more than one way to start locks? Yes. That's an easy answer. Yes, there's more than one way to start locks. There's comb coils, 2-strand twists, braids. What else is there? Now, people ask me also why I don't do Loc extensions. Let me give you an explanation. I want to close with this one. I don't do Loc extensions, and I don't have anything against it. If you do it and you want to do it with your hair, that's your business. Do you, boo? I just don't do them because of my services is to be a part of and guide you through an actual journey. And when you get extensions, that skips over all of that. And I've had people come to me that had started their lock journey with extensions, and they're like, please, could we cut these off? Because I really want to feel the full experience of, dude, I want to start over. And I got a good handful of clients that came, and it's like, I don't want this, because I really hate that I'm sitting there and listening to how my friends and people who started and went through everything, all the stages, including the quote unquote ugly stage. I don't like to call it that. That's why I said quote unquote. Others like to call it that. It's the budding stage. All of these different things. And then when they get through it, they talk about how victorious it is that they made it through that, and now they're here, and so on and so forth, right? And they're like, I want to experience that, and that's fine. So getting back to why don't I do Loc extensions? It's not only just so because you may miss out on the journey. That's actually a small part of it. There's two main reasons why I don't do Loc extensions. Number one, your scalp, when your hair follicles, is used to a specific weight that your hair already has. Overuse and buildup of products can change that and cause problems, right? But also adding hair can be additional problems because your scalp and your hair follicles wasn't ready for that change in weight, and it can be very stressful on your scalp and your hair follicles, causing your hair to start thinning and eventually may fall out due to pulling in tension that can lead to traction alopecia. So your hair will just keep thinning and thinning until eventually your follicles can become so inflamed that they literally will let go of your hair. And that's one, right? Two, and this one is more important. If you think of this, let's say you are in need of a new organ, right? The doctor can't just go to any human and grab an organ and put it in your body because you need a new organ, right? There are certain factors that has to be a part of that to make sure that your body is not rejecting that organ. All human hair is not fit to be joined with your hair. DNA is also in human hair. Genes, different things in the person's body makeup and genealogy is in your hair. So you can just be attaching any hair to your locks. Because your hair may reject it, you know. So there is I don't want you to miss out on your journey, right? But there's also, hi Vanessa, how are you? But there's also the factor of the damage that the extra weight and them possibly being a rejection issue. And not all of these locks are made from human hair. Of course, people will advertise that it is, but it's not always human hair. So you got to be very careful when it comes to stuff about that. And it kind of contradicts what I represent. If I say I'm an organic natural hair care specialist, there's nothing organic about using something that is not naturally yours. Make sense? So again, if you are a person who chose to adopt the look of having locks and you got extensions, that's your prerogative. That's if that's what you wanted to do, you may do so. My representation of what I represent within this community does not include skipping steps and speeding through the process. It's about embracing the process and understanding it and growing in self and locks, not just with your locks, but it's a whole self-realization journey that I go through with you. So that's generally the relationship I have with my clients. I'm not saying that's how everybody with locks is supposed to be. Please don't quote me on that. That's the dynamic of the relationship I have with my clients. It's not just with the locks clients, but it's also with my natural hair clients. Vanessa is one of my natural hair clients. She has beautiful, luscious, curly, long, beautiful hair. She's not locked. And she will tell you it's not just about me caring for her hair. It's a whole spiritual journey for her. She's learning more about her hair, about herself through her hair. So all of these things are connected. So that's why I don't do Loc Extensions or Instant Locs. I'm here to support you through the journey, through the committed. These people are committed to themselves, and that's very important. Good working on a science project app with my niece. Y'all still working on that science project? So we're down to the last minute, and I just want to thank y'all. I asked both of you, if while you're still here, to please hit that like button if you like the content that we talked about today. Vanessa, you see my queen made the wall. Yeah, she's on my wall, girl. So, other than that, I will see y'all next week and close with, again, be persistent and committed to yourself. Right? Be committed to yourself. Be persistent with your care, not just of your hair, but of yourself, of your spirit, of your energy. Protect it. Protect your peace. Protecting of your peace is non-negotiable. So, with all that being said, I bid you a farewell, and I will see you next week on Locs Talk Live at 7 p.m. I'll see you then. Bye.